Again,
Yeah, and
July.
then cut it or quit. We do it 6 months and then
And all I'm
No,
requesting
there
is
was
to
a
take it up to
motion,
the end
there
of the
is a
fiscal year.
motion on the
Motion to
table
continue in
to
1 month.
table this for now until we get the studies
Yes.
Good.
and then go on a month-to-month for
Yes.
now.
Yes.
oh all in favor?
We've all in favor.
Mr. Clerk?
Clerk.
All in favor, please.
The motion is to table the items,
Yes.
and then to do a study. That's the content, that the language.
That's not my motion.
Okay.
Yes. For next month.
All in favor say yea.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
No.
Next item.
5-0.
Hmm?
No.
We continue in 1 month. That's what it is.
You continue until you
What happened?
I apologize.
I make a motion that we continue this item until the first meeting in February, at the earliest.
The 27th, first meeting of February.
And in the meantime, you're giving staff
In the
direction
meantime,
to
staff continue the program on a month-to-month basis.
Okay,
Okay.
that's it.
Thank you very much. The next item is the tab N. Thank you very much, Mr. Bukani. Tab N.
Tab N. Discussion regarding moving the next North Miami election to the Miami-Dade County.
The meeting is still in session, please. The meeting is still in session.
Wait for them to leave and mayor. You alley. Bounty camp, you alley.
Can we make sure we
Can I?
limit to 2 minutes on the speakers, please?
Okay.
That was a 2-hour discussion.
Go ahead, Mr. Clerk. Tab N.
Discussion regarding moving the next North Miami election to the Miami-Dade County's general election to be held on November 8, 2016.
Now, on this election item, before I open public hearing, I want to say something, if I may. We all know that the voting rights is a very important right for citizens in this country. And having said that, this is an item that we have to approach with a lot of prudence. A lot of prudence in the sense that I was elected I was inaugurated 8 weeks ago. I was elected on November 4th. I can't count. I don't know how many weeks. 10 weeks. And to finish the term until May of this year. So I came to this job knowing that I'm going for re-election in May. And the residents who voted for me, they understand it to be such. And even those who did not vote for me, they understand that I would come back in May. They would give me the time to prove myself. And hopefully they would be satisfied with my performance and give me a mandate. So to come today with this discussion on changing the election date is something that we have to look at with a lot of caution, because as we know, our charter calls for election in May. So bypassing it would constitute some kind of frustration on the charter and probably would disappoint a lot of residents and a lot of would-be candidates as well. So having said that, I will open for public hearings, but knowing that elections in May 2015 is what I was elected for. Thank you very much.
Oh, it's the public.
Public hearing is now open. If there is no one, we shall. Okay, get up. Come on.
Everybody wants to be the dramatic last speakers.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Gwen West. I live at 13090 Griffin Boulevard. And I believe that we should have the election in May and not move it to November or whenever you're thinking. Because just like you said, other people need a chance to run for office. And who knows, we may want to change the mayor. So I ask you tonight.
But I know you won't.
Excuse me? How we might want Scott Galvin, who knows?
I'm not.
Okay. Or Mr. Bename, whoever, who knows? But anyway, I'm just joking. But I think that we should keep it the way it is. If this is what our charter says, what is the purpose of changing this now? And that's what I want to say.
Carol Prager, 2509 Northeast 135th Street. I have to say that I'm a little bit perplexed as to why this item was even put up for discussion, and very perplexed that it was sponsored by Councilwoman Keys. In November of 2008, 5 referendums were put before the citizens of North Miami. One of them was to move the election. All 5 referendums were soundly defeated by the voters of North Miami. Any change that takes place should be put before the voters. At the same time that we were considering these 5 referendums, there was a political action committee that was formed, of which Ms. Keys was part of. And it was their mandate that all 5 referendums be defeated. The rationale behind defeating moving the election was the following: changing the next voting date from May 2008 to November 2010 extends the current mayor and council terms an additional 18 months. And that is not what the electors voted for when the present council was elected. And that is the same reason why we shouldn't move it now.
I'm Laura Hill, 13075 Griffin Boulevard. Initially, when I heard that this would be on the agenda today, my first reaction was to support it because I know the costs of holding special elections is considerable, and I know that North Miami has a lot of places we could be putting the money. However, I think it's worth considering that we have had quite a recent history of troubles at City Hall. A lot of the faith that the constituency of North Miami has been lost because of various scandals and whatnot. And I think changing the election to November when the charter states May will just further the suspicion that the city residents have with their elected officials. I think we need to keep it transparent, and we need to keep giving the impression that we want to encourage people to vote and not switch the election around all the time and discourage the vote. Thank you.
Judy Brown, 1100 Northwest 120 Terrace. I'm in agreement that the election should stay as is. It is very difficult to get voters out in any general election, but to move this election from the present date, I don't think that should be done. Another thing, I have a problem with the way the polling places have become a zoo, especially over in Sunkist Grove. And I know that these people are paid a certain amount of money, and also at the library. People really don't feel comfortable going in to do their civic duties. This is a right let me tell you, um, it shouldn't be taken lightly. And when people show up to the poll, they shouldn't feel threatened by anyone. But it has become a circus, literally a circus, where police have had to been called. And I know this happened at Sunkist Grove because I've been there and I have recorded pictures on my phone that I can actually show you. So I'm saying that we need to have some decorum at these election polling sites within our cities, because this does not happen at other cities around, municipalities around around Miami. I don't know what's happening to North Miami. I hear all this rhetoric up here, but we need to put boots on the ground and we need to turn the city around. And if that's what our charter stands for, well, then we stay within our charter.
Thank you very much. And in reference to the comment that Ms. Laura Hill made, I want to make it known that we had election in November 4. I got elected. Now it's 5 of us on the dais. We have a fairly new, motivated, and respectful council. And I wish that people would consider us for who we are, but not based on the actions of others. We cannot be held accountable for other people's actions. First, follow me, see how I talk, see how I behave, see how I function, see how I perform, see how I relate to my colleagues, and then you judge me. And then you decide whether you will vote for me. This is a new North Miami. We are on the move. We are going to a higher level. Just look at us as a new North Miami. Thank you very much.
William Previtel, 11950 North Bay Shore Drive. The same way I rushed up when I heard the proposal that the police sort of pocket the money or have into their own funds, and really saw that as a very detrimental, self-undermining to have that sort of system in place, and wanted to make that very clear, and gradually it came out. You don't want at least the appearance of impropriety. And for in the same regard, I feel that the council too should not change the ground rules under which everyone was elected and everybody understands. There was an understanding that took place during the course of this past election and the elections before it. And to change the rules would not really be a fair and democratic government. Those are called regimes. And I don't think you want to be part of a regime. And I will, on the other hand, I'll give full support to this measure if the date is changed. If this is really something that's worth doing, then you do it after everyone's term. You do it in 2020, 2021, 2022, and it shows vision and commitment for what will be right, and it takes you out of the picture, and no one will be pointing the finger at you. That all of you will be clear of that, and you've done it in the best interest of the city, not in the best interest of yourselves. So I'd appreciate your consideration in keeping up with the existing election, and if modifications are made, they should not impact any of the sitting people or the immediate future. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good evening. Annie Montgomery, 2082 Laurel Lane. I want to fully agree with Ms. Brown on what she said about the areas of where we go to vote. It is a zoo. And in our next election, I sure hope that there'll be some type of quorum that'll calm this down and have some, it's disgusting really, and it doesn't happen in any place else. Mr. Mayor, I voted for you, and I intend to vote for you in May.
Thank you very much, Annie.
That is my promise.
Thank you.
I voted for Ms. Keys, and I intend to vote for you when you run next time. So, good luck. Please don't change the date. Thank you.
Thank you.
Evening.
Good evening.
Jacques Despinos, 95 Northeast 131. I am against changing the date. It is not the first time this issue come before us while I was on the council, beginning with former Mayor Joe Celestin. And I was on the council. And I was on the council again when former Mayor Kevin Byrne, I was against it, and I'm against it again tonight. It's a question of principle. If you, the 5 members here, vote to change the election date, you have that right. Put it as a referendum, let the voter make that decision if they wanted to. Like we did in the past, they voted down, they said no. Now, I really don't understand why today we come back again. What surprised me, I'm seeing like 2 kinds of commissioner, one Madam or Mrs. Keys and one as Commissioner Keys. Because I remember she was hot against it. She was very hard against it. When I'm looking at it, I say, well, you know, sponsored by Commissioner Keys. This. So what? What's going on here? If Kevin was here, we'll say maybe we're drinking Baba Cool, like you say all the time as a joke. But you see, we cannot, the charter of the city, any city, is like the constitution of a country. You can't just go there because you don't like this. For some reason you get up today, you want to change. You cannot do it that way. We have to respect our charter. Let's be serious. Mayor, last time we have an election, we elect a brand new mayor and members. There's no reason, unless that person is crazy, to go right now after Mayor Joseph. Because there's no way, no time for you to judge it, unless you don't like the man, period. Because he doesn't do anything yet to say, well, you made promise, he don't deliver this and that. You don't have it. And if you go and have a candidate in May, that candidate have to come out now. There's no candidate out there. That means the mayor, you safe.
That's when you're not running?
Huh?
That's when you're not running?
What you say? Mayor.
Does that mean you're not running?
Me, no. What you see is what you got. Like I said before. But you know what I'm glad? I'm glad none of you 3 pushing that idea. At the time in Haiti, where you get a president and parliament cannot decide for election, people screaming, no election in Haiti and no election not Miami. That cannot be worked together. So I'm glad none of you 3. You know why I say that? You know why I say that? It's because people was going to say, well, those Haitians keep coming and want to change things, don't have no respect. And I'm glad when I see you are none of the guy who will sponsor that item. And I'm glad. And I hope none of you vote for it. None of you. And Scott, as an old dad sitting here long enough, you know what's going on. I hope it's going to be 4 against, 1 vote for. I don't know. You buy yourself card in this. Thank you.
No, public hearing is still open.
Janet Reed, 325 Northwest 136th Street. I've been a citizen of, I've been living in the city of North Miami for 23 years. And for the last 6 years or so, this city has been drowning in scandal. I just stand here today in opposition of changing the date from May to the general election. I oppose. That's it.
Thank you. Public hearing.
Good evening, Beverly Hilton, 12495 Northwest 6th Avenue. I'm just going to repeat what the past speaker. This went on the ballot in 2008 We all voted against it. I would really like to know the real reason why this is back on. If that be the case, put it back to the resident. Let the resident again say no. But this is just wasting time. Please. Please do not change the date. Thank you.
Thank you.
Guys, we can't have shouting from the room. We gotta.
Richard Ennis, 13030 Northeast 10th Avenue. I don't really care when you have an election. My problem is, if you notice by my address, I'm a half a block from the church that is a polling place. It is a total fiasco, day of election. Things that were regulations up until the day of are not regulations the day of. I have people putting signs, nailing signs to trees and telephone poles. And when I took the sign down, my life was threatened. There was people. It was just bizarre. The goings on of the people standing outside of the polling place. You go to the director of elections inside, and they say, well, they can be 200 feet away. So they move the signs in the swales 200 feet away when they don't belong in the swale anyway. You get attacked as you're going into the poll. I mean, if you haven't made up your mind before you get there, somebody handing you a piece of paper to say vote for so-and-so is not going to change your mind, and it's ridiculous. There's no control. The police say they're not going to do anything. You can't put signs in the swale, but the day of, they let people put signs in the swale. Then Public Works comes by and hopefully tries to take them away, but they don't bother. They don't give code enforcement or the police department any direction to do anything. I've had them come. I've called them 3 or 4 times on the day of election, and they come out and they basically tell me they're not going to do anything. So we need to give them some teeth to do something to stop the ridiculousness on the days of the election.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good evening, Kevin Burns, 2065 Alamanda Drive. Mr. Mayor, appreciate the opening comments that you said. Appreciate that a lot. You set the tone and very respectful for it.
Thank you.
I too is this issue, as Councilman Desponos had said, has come up many years. When the opportunity and this issue came up before my sitting council, which included Councilman Galvin, Councilwoman Maurice Terrell, and Mr. Desponos, we said let's put it to the Charter Commission and let's the voters decide. It was on the ballot, and as it was stated, it was overwhelmingly defeated along with 4 other issues, even the issue of putting a volunteer on the personnel board. There was a community pact that got together that opposed our charter amendments, and I must say that I had never been so personally attacked in my life on that, because people said changing the election was strictly to the benefit of the current city council. Even though we could have changed it by a simple 3-2 or 3-4 or 4-1 or whatever vote it was to pass, we chose not to. We chose to allow the voters to make that decision. And I was in favor of changing it to August at that particular time. But the voters would have made that decision. If you decide, or so inclined, and feel that this election issue is the most pressing issue that you all need to be dealing with at this particular time, then you should set it for a vote, join the May election, to ask the voters if they actually want it at that particular, in August. I think you'll find the same response, and it'll go down. But I believe that, as Mr. Mayor, you stated, everybody knew the rules when they got elected. People's 4-year terms are coming up. I don't believe any of the council people who are up for re-election, the 3 of you, are concerned about it or nervous. You'll go out there and do what you need to do to campaign, and the voters will make their decision. So again, if you were inclined to do it, let the voters have the say. And when you're at it, look at what other cities do. maybe don't have runoffs anymore. Maybe change the term of the mayor from 2 years to 4 years. If you really are going to do it to save money, there's a lot of issues surrounding our elections what need to be done. And the other thing is we don't want to be the stepchild on the ballot like we were, down ballot so far that our issues can't get voiced out. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Public hearing is now closed. And council?
Comment?
Hmm?
Oh, can I make? I just wanna make some comments talking about democracy and about election. Remember, we had election in 2013, and we had election in 2014. 2013, we had an election here, and in 2014, we had an election. Secondly, discussion about changing the date of this election from May to November has been engaged before this election. Whether it's gonna be, whether it's Dr. Smith Joseph, whether it's Mr. Kevin Burns, or Jean-Rodrigue Marcellus, discussion was engaged way before the result of this election about changing the date from May to November. That means it's not about Smith Joseph. We are talking about democracy. During May election, the turnout is about 7,300 people, 7,300 people. Maybe about 7,500 go to the poll. But during November election, we have about 13,000 people. In November, about 13,000 people went to the poll. That means you're gonna have more residents that's gonna express the will on who will be the next mayor of the city of North Miami. Another thing, the mayor's position, the mayor is elected for 2 years. If we change the date, Dr. Smith Joseph gonna spend only 2 years in office. That means we're not giving him an extension based on the charter of the city that a mayor is there for 2 years. Councilman Jacques Despinos referred to Haiti. That in Haiti we don't like having election. We are not the first city, we're not the last one who done that before in the county, in the state, in this country. Is it legal or not to change the date of the election from May to November? I don't think it's illegal because the city of North Miami, we have a charter that we need to the charter need to be respected. But we also have the state law who give us the opportunity, who give us power to change the date of this election. Those are some of the comments about the upcoming election. We had election in 2013, we had election in 2014, and I think having an election in 2015 gonna create instability in the city. And we spent, what? If you want election in May, you're gonna have election in May, and you're gonna have the same result. Some people who don't want election is because some of them, they wanna make money of the election. It's not like they love the city, and I don't say everybody. I'm not gonna say everybody. The city gonna spend about 180,000 for this election in May. And some people who said, we want election, they just want to make money of the election. That's mean me personally, I don't have any problem participating in election. And if we're gonna have election in May, by tomorrow, I will ask the mayor to go to the city clerk and register as a candidate, and I'm gonna be out there campaign for him. We don't have a problem about the election. We know how to do election in North Miami. That's when we're not scared of that. First of all, we try to see if we can save money. We try to see if we can create stability in the city. We have so many projects. We have a downtown. We have a Biscayne Landing. If we have a mayor for 2 years, that means we can move some of those projects. Me, I don't have any problem of moving the election. And as a matter of fact, I want to make a motion tonight. Whether I get the support or not, I'm going to make a motion to request that the city attorney and the city manager prepare not a resolution, an ordinance, changing the date of the election from May to November 8, 2016. That's my motion.
Okay, now if you want to speak, please come to the mic. We
No,
have,
there's no speaking.
No, we already closed for public hearing.
Yeah, it's just I make the motion to move the election from May 8, 2016.
We need a second.
I would second it for discussion.
Okay, seconded by Councilwoman Keys. Nice open for discussion.
So I'd like to discuss this. I called the discussion this evening not really a vote because timing, this has been discussed for months before the election. And I did want to hear what the citizens wanted. I think could be up to the citizens to decide. And I also wanted to hear what the council wanted. And this is something I cannot discuss with my fellow council people due to sunshine laws. I personally think at some point our city needs to change our elections to November. Someone out there said we need to encourage votes. The average voting on the May elections is about 20%. When there's really an exciting election, we really all come out, 22, 23%. That's not a representation of our population. This November, during the election, when we had the runoff, we got a 47% turnout of our citizens. That is a representation. And that's why, in my mind, it's a possibility because the people did come out and they spoke and they showed what they wanted. It wasn't just 20 people coming out and saying no. I think November is a better date. You talk about a zoo, you talk about voting has become ugly. When our charter was written 50, 60 years ago, we did not have early voting. If it was merely a going to the polls on a Tuesday and voting, no big deal. But what this early voting, which started in our city in 2004, has become is just ugly. It's nasty. It's a burden on our city. It's a burden on public works. It's a burden on our police. And it's really horrible. And for me, it's a big benefit for our citizens in our city to eliminate these every other year early voting dates. The other thing is people said, yes, I was very against, well, I was part of a PAC, and I did say vote no for everything. But the reason I did that was there were 3 other items that were, to me, much worse. One was a charter change, which is totally against. 2, it was put on the ballot that the mayor had a 4-year term instead of 2, which I have always been against and still am against. And 3, it was unlimited mayor terms. And those were 3 things very important to me that I did not want to see. And we decided when we got together, that the best way is, instead of saying vote yes, vote no, vote yes, it was just vote no for everything. Some people are not happy, but that's what that is about. Not so much the election terms, it was the other three items. That being said, you know, maybe I haven't heard anybody really in favor of this, and that was the purpose here, is I did want a discussion. I do want to know what the people want. At some point, 2 or 3 council people are going to get an extra 18 months. The other thing is, it costs us about $182,000. We have $182,000 budgeted this year. I think we should stop spending that kind of money every other year when we can piggyback on the county and let them pay for it. And it costs us $25,000 for an election as opposed to $100,000. And I think that's a big savings. And I think the money and the wear and tear on our city and our staff is really worth changing. That being said, if the people are adamant, then this is a time to talk about it because people are starting to file. Otherwise, then we need to talk about, you know, putting it on the charter for the people to vote on. So, 2020.
Don't allow people to
Haven't we made enough mistakes?
20.
We can't do it
Okay.
like that,
Okay,
people.
we're not
We
gonna
can't
have,
do it
we're
like
not gonna
that.
have council. I'd like to start saving the money sooner than later, and, you know, I'd want to see it on this.
You blew $100 million.
Mr. Prevotel, please,
Out of order. Okay, that's all I have to say.
you can do this.
Have respect.
Come on,
You
guys,
guys can
don't
do
do
that.
this. Don't do this.
This is a council discussion. We had time, we opened public hearing, and we gave ample time to the citizens to express themselves. Please respect the order of the meeting. Councilman?
Thank you. I'm up for re-election in May, and I intend to run for re-election in May. I hope that the election is in May. Call me just an old-fashioned North Miami homeboy, but I like that we have our own city election. It allows us, one of the very few times anymore, that we can sort of stand on our own and be the focus of an election. I recognize that a lot more people do come out and vote in November, but they're also more interested in Hillary Clinton versus Mitt Romney than they are, or Jeb Bush, or whatever, than they are with coming down the ballot to vote for us. I don't want the North Miami leadership to be an afterthought. I want it to be the forethought in people's mind when they go to the polls. So I hope we leave the election where it is.
Ms. Councilwoman?
I don't think that I have much to say, Mr. Mayor, except that I know I heard about changing the date of the election way before you become mayor, because a lot of people that actually against it right now, they were ready to be for it because they thought that the leadership up here would be different. But it's so unfortunate that a lot of North Miami business based not on the city but is on personal. One other thing that I know that I have been hearing is the fact that the city have been spending a lot of money on election, and that's one of the reasons why we did not have election on our own term, why we piggyback with the county in August. And another thing that I know a lot of my constituent and in my district has concern is having the parade on early voting. And another thing that I'm suggesting, if it any other ways, either in May or in November, is to actually reduce the amount of days that we have for early voting. So this is something for the future, because I understand that it can be very, very disturbing having the early voting for 2 weeks. But again, it makes no difference to me. Having it in May, I work hard, I represent my district well, and fortunately that I know people that have been running against me come to me and told me in different time, right, Beverly, that I will support you, Marie. You don't have to worry about it. So I have good supporters out there. But the point is, it's not about me. It's about create, as the councilman says, stability for the city, save money for the city. Either way that it goes, I am ready. And if for any reason that my constituents think that they can find any better one to represent them, God bless them. I'll move on, take care of my husband, which I have to say thank you too, for sending me beautiful flowers, and to
Where are
my
the
two
flowers?
in my office. So I will continue doing what I love to do, take care of my family and do my job.
There are no flowers.
So beautiful flowers, very expensive. So anyway, so I really that's what I have to say. But supporting in November, I don't have a problem supporting in November as well.
Mr. City Clerk,
Thank you very much.
there is a motion on the floor.
Motion made by Councilman Bien-Aimé, seconded by Councilmember Keys. We have a
Roll call.
He's the one doing roll call,
okay.
not me.
Councilman Galvin,
No.
Councilman Bien-Aimé,
Yes.
Councilmember Keys,
No.
Councilmember Stereo,
Yes.
Mayor Joseph.
Why did you vote against your own discussion item?
I wanted to discuss it. I just put it on for discussion, and I
So-
seconded the motion to discuss. This is,
The ordinance is coming in
This-
2
this
weeks.
is-
So it's to
the
put it back. Okay,
It's
you
to
can bring it back, that's fine.
next week, not just to pass it, to bring it back as an ordinance.
Well, we cannot vote. This is a discussion item.
we're
cannot-
not voting on
This
the
is
item.
a discussion item. There is no voting for this discussion
Yes,
item.
it was a discussion item.
No, the motion, it was a discussion item. Next, in 2 weeks before council, we're still gonna discuss it and vote on it. But instead of a discussion, it's gonna come back as an ordinance that's gonna be before the constituents, and they're gonna express their point of view again.
To
For-
give them more time to.
It's gonna be a 2 reading ordinance. It's gonna be. City Attorney.
City Attorney, Madam Attorney, what is the state of this
So it would,
motion now?
there was a motion to come back to council with an ordinance that would allow for the election in November, and those details would need to be flushed out in terms of August or November, whatever it would be. So that's the current, with early voting dates and so on and so forth, with those details. So that's what's on the table right now, to come back with an ordinance.
She make the amendment to change the. No, if we're
Correct.
gonna have the election in November, it's not up to us.
Has the mayor
It's
cast
up
his
to the
vote on
county.
what we're doing?
Now, you want to bring this item as an ordinance for the citizens to come back and talk more.
Guys, you can't.
You want to bring this item back as an ordinance so that my understanding is that you want to give more people more opportunities to come and express themselves.
Correct.
To
It would
see
be two
whether or not.
readings.
Yeah, and plus it will be 2 readings.
Correct.
So giving opportunities to citizens to express themselves, I'm all for that. I mean, I don't have any problem. It doesn't matter to me either way. I can go to elections in May.
No,
I can
you
go
got
to elections.
for him.
As a matter of fact, starting today, I'm going to register as a candidate. I'm voting yes to come back with it, so that more people can have the opportunity to express themselves.
We cannot scare off 5, 6 people who express themselves that they
record-
don't want the election.
For record.
Order in the room, please.
For records, a motion has been made by Councilman Bien-Aimé, seconded by Councilmember Keys, to bring this item back to council on the form of an ordinance. And the motion passes 3-2.
You're welcome, Carol.
Guys, come on, don't. What's the next item on the agenda?
Next
Mr. Mayor?
item, go ahead.
What's the next item on the agenda?
Here's the
Next item,
O, tab O.
tab O. Tab O is about appointments to be made to certain boards.
No, tab O is the purchasing of a table.
Purchasing of the table.
Oh,
Purchasing
I'm
of a
sorry,
table.
I'm sorry. Sorry, I anticipated.
Everybody in favor say aye.
The problem is
Yes.
I received
Yes.
two
I just
different
wanna-
versions of the ad.
What's the amount of the table purchase that we're being asked to
Yeah.
approve?
It's $1,500, and it's been the price for the past 2 years, and I believe the city has been sponsoring it for the last 10
That's
years.
what I received it, and I'm sorry.
Guys,
Let me
I'm
actually,
sorry.
Councilman
Let-
Gavin,
let's just
we
vote
used
on it.
to, no,
Let's
I
just
have,
pay for
we
it.
used to give them a $5,000, but right now we decided not to give them $5,000 anymore and
1,500.
buy a table.
Just buy the table for
Yeah.
1,500.
Everybody in favor?
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you
Okay,
very
5
much.
to
Did we need a
0.
public hearing on this?
For record, I received a
That's
wrong
a table.
agenda. That's what I made so many
table.
mistakes.
Now we up to council reports.
I'm sorry, Mayor.
Everybody voted
I'll make a
yes.
motion that we approve the purchase of the table for the the gala
Second.
I
for
said-
$1,500.
Thank you.
It's 5-0.
5-0.
Yes, 5 to 0. I did not refer to you.
Council reports, Ms. Terrell, Councilwoman.
Why did you
No,
start
you have
with me
another
all the way in the bottom? Where am I?
Report.
Oh, Citizens Forum is now open. I'm sorry. Citizen Forum
And committees.
is now open.
My name is Belkis Zarati. I reside at 13395 Northeast 4th Court. And many times, as was discussed in this last item, it's presented that there's not enough representation, that there's not enough civic duties, or the citizens don't take their civic duties seriously enough. But tonight, I think we had a pretty good turnout, and it's pretty late, and most of us have stuck around. We came here tonight expecting this meeting to commence at 7. I came in about 6:30, and there was another meeting that continued. This meeting did not get started until way after 7 o'clock. If we, the residents, are to take our civic duty seriously, I ask that you, council people, staff, take yours seriously as well. Please take into consideration that many of us have worked all day, have done all types of activity, some more physically intensive than others, but we made it a point to be here, and many of us will continue to make a point of being here. But please take that into consideration when you plan your meeting and state that you are going to start at a certain time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Go ahead.
Yeah, Council, my name is Robin Cargill. I'm a resident of North Miami at 13135 Northeast 3rd Court. I have comments on 2 items. Very quickly on the tickets. Red light camera, I'm one of the proud 18% that it not only took me 1 ticket, but 2 tickets from red light cameras to change my behavior driving in the city of North Miami. However, I do have one comment. When I received both my tickets, I think they were borderline technical violations. However, there was not a clear appeals process on the paperwork, and it did state that if I appealed and I lost, that I could be subject to additional court fees. I think that should be discussed when you consider extending that contract for a possible more appeals, better explanation of the appeals process, and possibly a free appeals process to the residents of North Miami for red light tickets. Also, there was a study in Texas that saw that after implementation of red light tickets, the traffic patterns would actually change, and they reduced the time of the yellow light. So I would suggest that you guys look at the traffic light patterns. I did note a change on West Dixie and Northeast 135th, where I received one of my tickets, on the left turn signal. My main point tonight, though, is the Walmart development, which was retracted by the developer. I live directly behind that project on 130 on Northeast 3rd Court, and I was very concerned that that project was recommended by your zoning administrator, Nixon LeBrun. Mr. LeBrun read the city planning report and the staff report, but then he actually recommended the item. It was subsequently unanimously rejected by your planning commission, and I was proud of them for that vote. I'll finish very quickly. It was an absolutely terrible site plan. It had a cutout of 2 residential lots where 2 of your residents would actually be surrounded by Walmart parking lot. I encourage you to look at that site plan. I think that it is possible that if Walmart doesn't, the developer may bring back another project, and the rezoning of 6 acres for that site is just way too large. There's 2 acres already zoned commercial already on that site, and I don't think there is any valid reason for that to be rezoned. So I'm very concerned that it may come back to your council. It was a unanimous opposition from the residents in the surrounding neighborhood, including a large group of us, and we certainly stay opposed to any other development, not just a Walmart. That would be a large rezoning measure that would have to come before your council. Thank you for your time and your service.
Thank you very much, sir. Ms. Bland?
Esther Blinn, 1990 Northeast 118th Road. I was at the CRA board meeting, which began at 5:30, and I stayed through, and in the hopes that you would consider the nominees or people who had volunteered to serve on the board, and that was postponed. I think it's maybe the second, possibly the third time that that has occurred. What has occurred, however, is that, as the young woman said before me, is for many, many years we have been offered the opportunity to have Citizens Forum pushed forward. Here we are at 11 o'clock at night. Items that were important, including Biscayne Landings, because this has gone on and on and on and on, have been pulled at the last minute. In other words, people have been sitting here waiting to speak on an item, and then it's dissolved into something else. Furthermore, we need to have that opportunity to speak as citizens in the beginnings of the meetings, which I know former council people and Councilman Galvin have mentioned on many occasions, moving us to the end and then saying, oh, look, there's nobody here? Oh, my goodness. I mean, there were a number of people here who left, so I urge you to reconsider the Citizens Forum in the beginning so that people who have something to say about an agenda item that may or may not ever be heard have at least had the opportunity to speak.
Okay. Thank you very much, Ms. Bland. Ms. Brown?
Judy Brown, 1100 Northwest 128 Terrace, Honorable Mayor and Council. I am concerned about the growing problem of litter throughout the city. I've heard many speakers talk about redevelopment, attracting new businesses to the city, about changing behavior and how that changed the habit of our citizens. Before our mayor became our mayor, one of the things that he talked about in his forum was there's 2 things that he was going to hit the ground running with, and he's done that, and I would like to commend him for that. And that was the zoning department and code compliance and trying to clean up the city. I'm a longtime resident here. I have lived here for a long time. And I don't care if you're coming from, say, if you're coming from Miami Avenue, from Miami Shores to North Miami, you know when you hit North Miami. The swells are littered with paper, debris, plants. It's everywhere. It's not only in Sunkist Grove, it's throughout our city, behind City Hall. You can find paper downtown on 125th Street. On any given day, there's litter all over this city. And on 7th Avenue, I'm particularly concerned about the way the business owners there allow the swales to not be kept properly. The Burger King is pristine. And I know if this guy can do this for his business, other business can do this as well. I've spoken to the city manager about the Quick Stop on 135th Street, the service station, the swales are not being kept. Tropical Pollo just moved in. The paper's all bundled in the shrubbery around there. I am asking that, and I'll come to work. I don't mind working with any committee. I've uploaded pictures to Public Work. I've sent pictures to the Park Department, and I have gotten response by doing that. But I'm not going to spend my retirement years doing the same thing. I've lived here, and this has not been a problem. I have not come before council and talked about litter in our city. We are a city of progress. We are moving on. The climate of this council
City
meeting,
on the move.
yes, has changed. It is much better, the meetings and what have you. So we need to get serious about getting North Miami back to where we were. It's nothing wrong with the old days and being clean. You know, it's just anybody knows that. I don't have to stand up here and justify. I'm not running for any election. The only thing I want is that we take pride in our community. And one thing that I'd like to bring, one solution, and I'm talking real quick because I don't want the buzz to go on. But one thing, I don't like to bring a problem without having a solution. Now, what I'm asking is that for the city manager and the mayor and the council, whatever, to get together and have some type of education with the residents using the radio as a vehicle to communicate, just like with the red light cameras. This is what I'm asking this because the acting mayor previously had a workshop here about the code, and they did all kind of paperwork. It was in color. No one showed up. That does not get it. We have to think outside of the box, guys. We have to do something else to get our city back to where it was. And we want North Miami, all-American city. It is ridiculous to see how filthy this city is. Okay, don't put the thing up. All right. All right, the next thing I want to talk about is Pepper Park, and I'm going to sit down. I'm going to sit down. Just give me a few minutes. Okay, Pepper Park and redevelopment. I have been asking for a walking little path at Pepper Park for a long time. My councilwoman had promised that it was going to be in this budget with that $750,000 that we're going to get it. I see the dogs have their place to run, play, and drink water, but we are still over there, do not have our walking path at Pepper Park, and I don't think it's fair. You know, I really don't. There are elderly people over there at that park. It's very dangerous, and I'm going to come, and I will continue to come and ask that we get that done for Pepper Park. It's only fair. If you feel that way about dogs, and I certainly think that you should feel that way about our citizens.
Thank you very much. Mr. Director of Public Works, would you mind share a few words?
Because we do have
Whistler?
something coming up.
We do have something coming up? Okay, let's keep on going. Okay, next.
Hi. Hi. My name is Jamie Olson. I live at 13135 Northeast 3rd Court. And I want to thank you, the council, and for all the beautiful improvements that have been made to the city. We have a roundabout in our neighborhood that I really enjoy. I think it will help with the traffic calming on that street. My husband spoke earlier, and I'm here mainly for the Walmart, but I was very interested in all the topics that were brought before the commission today. The Walmart project would be very ugly, and I know that they're not going to do it now, but in the future, I'm sure some developer is going to come back with some other big store, and it wasn't just Walmart that I am against. There is plenty of space that wouldn't have to be rezoned for them to use. But a project that's ugly, that has no creativity, that has no character, that's not right for our city. You've given me the beautiful roundabout. You're working on our parks. You're working on giving this woman her path. All these things to make the city beautiful, and this is something that would make the city so ugly. Also, it was a terrible site plan. It would cut out of 2 of the residential lots, which would have been surrounded by the Walmart project. Griffin Boulevard would have been a delivery exit and would not have had limited access and would have been directly in front of a school zone. And that's where the children are playing all day. It's a elementary school. So it was just a horrible place for a big business like Walmart. And in the future, if a proposal like this comes around, please consider the neighborhood and all the great things you have been doing to it. So thank you very much.
Yes, Silvia Mayola, and I hear about Walmart and that beautiful space because it's pretty large and beautiful. And we need a space in North Miami where children could recreate themselves, teenagers, little children, and I think that the street light, they are very important, but the money who goes there, 80,000, 100,000 to that per month, how about if we put this money in that lot and make a beautiful park, beautiful recreation for the community? Is what all I want to say.
It's me again, Marie Samuel, 12725 Northeast 12th Avenue. I'm a poll worker, and he's absolutely right about the 2 people that spoke about the elections where we have our where we work. The supervisor of elections, I believe, is still Penelope Townsend. I think she would be the person that you would have to talk to about the way it's handled. But in regard to what's on the ballot, if you, and I've said this so many times because I'm on the inside, if you put 20 things on the ballot, you lose track of what you really want. If we want to dedicate a North Miami election for North Miami, we should leave it North Miami. It can get done quick, it'll get done accurate, and it's easier for us because we have many different languages that we have to teach the people or be able to tell the people how to vote. And the other item I came up here to say, I forgot. I had something else I was going to say, but I forgot. But the thing is, you have to be able to know more about things, like we're all here talking about. But like I said, coming from the inside, we should just put one thing on the agenda at a time, not 50. And then the way the questions are put, or the way the items are discussed, you can't remember what the first sentence was based on the second. Very similar to our agenda.
Thank you very much.
Gwen West at 13090 Griffin Boulevard. And tonight we've discussed a lot of important ideas about the city. We talked about the red light tickets. We spoke about parks. We spoke about Walmart. We spoke about a lot of important items. But when I left home this morning, I want the council to know that my yard, we didn't have a lot of rain today, Ms. Keys, but my yard is standing. I have standing water in my yard from just that small amount of rain. And our city manager knows that we do have a problem with the flooding, and we do have a problem with this sewage, which over the holidays, I spoke about it a couple of weeks ago, that the sewage overflowed during the holiday. Today, one of the guys, the zoning guys, was over to my house today, and he took pictures of that sewage overflowing today again. And I heard that that sewer line, Mr. Alim, is 57 years old. And when we put the schools in, we pumped it into the main sewer line. If you had put Kmart, Walmart here, then we would have patched it into the main sewer line.
What's your address again?
13090 Griffin Boulevard.
13090.
Griffin Boulevard. Mr. Alim, you've been there so many times that we probably could raise kids together.
Over the past 18 years, yes, that's correct. I've been there with several city managers too.
Exactly. And at that time, Mr. Galvin, it was told to me that that sewage line would not come across the bridge down 135th Street, that you would reroute it to 135th Street, and that will alleviate the sewage problem for me. And how much sewage that we had to pump out from underneath my house, Mr. Alim? You brought in robots, ran them up underneath the house. You, what do you call that word? Excavated the sand from underneath the house to take out sewage. I was asked again a couple of weeks ago when I came to the city with the problem, do you still live there? Well, Mr. Bename, where am I going to move? Tell me, how am I going to move? I moved to this city because I wanted to be here. I wanted to be here, Dr. Smith. And I wanted to be here because I thought this would be a great place to raise my kids. But then I ran into a situation where, you know, I had to stay. But staying in North Miami and staying in that house, Miss Marie, has been, I can't describe it. The words can't come out of my mouth about the devastations that I have experienced living there, Mr. Alim. And you know all about it.
Mr. Manager.
So I'm standing here right now.
No.
And I'm begging. I'm not asking anymore. I'm begging you to do something about it. When you drive past my house, you can smell the stench coming from the sewage. You can smell it. It comes up out of the sewer line. And today, the young man, when he was there, he said, well, how is it getting up underneath your house? I said, well, you take a look and see for yourself. He took pictures. He took pictures to show you when you came in, Mr. Alim, and you built up, I guess you called it the swell or whatever that is you did, and you said, well, this is going to keep it from coming up underneath your house. But, sir, it made it worse. The water is worse. I get water from every side. I get water from in front, I get water on the right, and I get water on the left.
Yeah.
And I'm quite sure some of my neighbors in here will tell you that they don't get any water at all because Mr. Jackson said that you change, what is it, the elevation, you change whatever that is. We're not, I was at 6 and you raised it to 7 feet sea level, whatever that important stuff you do. But I am at 6 feet, not 8. And then when it rains, the water goes to the lowest point.
Okay.
And what I think is in your hands now, Dr. Smith.
Okay, thank you.
What is it that you're going to do but brush me off again?
No, we're
What
not.
is it?
We're not going to do that. Both a city manager and Mr. You in District 3, right?
Yes, I am.
Mr. Councilman, Bien-Aimé, and I. But have you made a true or final diagnosis of what it is and what needs to be done?
Yes, actually, what Ms. West is describing is two separate problems. Number one, Griffin Boulevard is the flooding problem on Griffin. The water sheds off onto her driveway and onto the property. The house is elevated, but there's a crawl space below the floor structure. We've been out there several times, to look at it. That's one of the problems. That's a flooding problem. The second issue that Ms. West has was the sanitary sewer system. There's a manhole in front of the property. The system is operated by Miami. It's connected to Miami-Dade County Pump Station, which is Pump Station 346, which is located on Northeast 137th and 5th Avenue. When that pump station goes down, it actually backs up in the system. Miami-Dade County has been out there several times to investigate the complaints on the sanitary system. We could look into it again if it happened over the holidays.
So which means your department, you've been responding every
Yes.
time that you've
Yeah.
been called.
Every time we've
Yeah.
called, we
Ms.
have.
West, the only thing that I can say is be a little bit patient with us. We will
Sir,
be there.
it's been like 15 years.
Well,
How much more patient?
the only thing that I'm asking you, it's like someone is sick, you go to a physician, he or she makes a diagnosis. But a lot of times we try a first line of therapy. That therapy may not work, but we give it time. When you come back, your doctor makes some more tests. If the problem still persists, then we try something different. So Mr. Alim knows what he's tried before, so he's not going to try the same a kind of technique that he used. So I'm sure he has other means
Mr. Mayor.
that he may be able to try to make sure that we abate your problem.
Mr. Mayor.
The only thing that we can promise you that we will work on it to see to it that we get to the bottom of it.
May I?
Go ahead.
If this problem has been around for 15 years, as a woman, and if you have kids, or even if you don't have kids, but as a person, period, dealing with something like that, it must be frustration. Ooh, I can't even imagine. So, but right now, after 15 years, I know that you have been in the city for about 30 years, so that means you know about the problem. So, I don't think that we can actually discuss it here and solve it there.
Yeah.
I would suggest that your department have to come to a solution between your well, I'm saying your department, not as a public work director, but as a city manager, together with the county, to come up with something and then bring it back, make it as an agenda item, either to give us like a report and updates. I want to personally, I'm sorry, Councilman, this is not my constituent, but I consider it as a person. I think that by next council meeting, to give us an update about exactly, and I hope that you can keep us updated as well.
Yeah.
What's going on? What is if the house has to be abandoned, have to be vacant? If that's what needs to be happening, that needs to be happening.
I will also
because
bring all
we
the.
cannot allow someone to actually living in that position.
I will
in
bring
that
all the
situation.
claims that was placed against the city and all the claims that was placed against the county for this property as well.
Yes, please
Okay.
give us an update
Thank
in
you
the
very
next
much,
council
because
meeting.
apparently
So
it's a-
I'm
it's a
hoping that
major
you'll be
intrinsic
working
problems.
with them and keep me updates.
Did you
Okay.
already
I'd like to
make
help.
an assessment about the solution?
Yes.
What can be done?
Well, it's two things. The runoff from Memorial Highway or Griffin actually is Miami-Dade counties. There's a drainage structure in front of on the corner of the property. The sanitary sewer system, we have no control over it. It goes to a Miami-Dade County pump station. Miami-Dade County responded twice to complaints by Ms. West. Actually, 2 claims were paid on that property.
What
When
you
there
mean
was a
2 claims?
Yeah, what does that mean?
claims from sanitary sewer overflows. There was a claim to Miami-Dade County for the sanitary spill that she's claiming that went under the property.
How much
So
was it?
I could get you those numbers. I
No,
don't want to
the-
quote you any
the
numbers, and
the
I
money
don't.
is not even the issue.
Yeah.
It's just
No.
the fact
I'm
that she has
still
to deal
living
with
there.
that.
Yeah.
No,
And I'll get you the claims.
And I'm
all
not
the
trying to
pro-
get a claim. I
exactly.
just want you to
So-
fix the
Yeah.
problem
She
or
just wants the
whatever.
problem to be fixed.
Yes.
yeah, but
That's
it's
fine,
A
but
part of the problem is the
Yeah.
county
The
also,
exactly.
Yeah.
not just the
It's,
city.
it's not just
But
the
now
city.
that you have annexed that area.
This
So
is
is
our
it still a
constituent.
county problem? If you've annexed that particular area?
That's correct. The runoff, the stormwater system still belongs to the county that runs off the street.
But we just have to take
will
ownership
have
to
to
work with the county
on
to
it.
know how we can help her. But we're not gonna solve it here. To tell you the truth, it's not gonna be solved here. The city manager needs just to sit with you with public works, and you keep your councilman updates,
And
keep
the
me updates,
commissioner
and
also and see.
you
if,
know who your commissioner is. I think.
Yeah,
Commissioner
Monestein.
Keep him updated as well, until you find a solution. Not 15 years later. Now,
We've
this
been doing
year you need
this,
to just.
But it's not
get that
15
done.
years later.
No. I'm
It's
saying
been
that don't
fo-
wait for another 15 years. So you just have to get it done today, because I know that I will be. So, meet with staff and call the city manager by tomorrow, and keep us updated every day, every week, how often that you can.
And will you give us a
An update at the next
follow-up?
meeting.
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much, Ms. West.
You have her number, right? Or meet with Natasha is in the back.
Yeah, he's been there, he knows. Sir?
Good evening, Mayor, Council.
Good
My
evening.
name is Howard Tonkin. I live at 12600 Griffin Boulevard, not to be confused with Memorial Highway, as some people around here have started calling it. I just returned from the Everglades Coalition Conference, and the news is really not good. It's actually a lot worse than I imagined. We all know about rising sea levels on the East Coast. This map that you guys can take a look at shows you how quickly, how rapidly saltwater is coming from the west. The saltwater is coming from the west, and that's going to be our problem. We need to deal with this in a big way. The quote from the conference that was most resounding to me was, "Miami has done the least of all of South Florida's cities and stands to lose the most." You see, Council, Miami Beach has spent $515 million to address rising sea levels. And I'm wondering what we've spent. So far, I've heard the plans for an amphitheater, and I'm beginning to think that will make a nice pond. And what we need to do is really take a look at what's happening. You know, I was going to go on about Walmart, but obviously that's on the table, off the table for now. But people like Gwen, the beginning of a flood of residents that you're going to have over the next 5 to 10 years as sea level rises, the freshwater level is going to have to be kept higher to keep fresh water in an aquifer, yeah? So people like Gwen are going to become more and more vulnerable to flooding, and this is going to happen. This is going to be the future of our city. So we need to figure out how to sustain our city. Now, the Walmart project was terrible because it wouldn't help sustain our city. We need to mitigate our flooding. If we had a grand vision to do something responsible for the future, we could create a beautiful park. For example, Botanical Gardens of Miami could be located in North Miami and bring tourists to Miami, killing two birds with one stone, because by doing that, we could mitigate all the flooding for the neighborhood, for Gwen, and re-engineer the area at a reasonably low cost. We keep planting, 5 seconds. We keep planting palm trees when we should be planting trees like bald cypress. Just give me 1 second, because there's something that's going to save you guys a lot of money. The tree above the Griffin Center, the palm tree, the really tall palm tree above the Griffin Center died this week from over-trimming. You're over-trimming all the palm trees in the city. It's a phenomenon that originated out of Hialeah. It causes the palm trees to die because the yellowing branches are how the palm trees receive nutrients. You're also destroying habitats for endangered species of birds, bats, and bees, which we're losing. I brought here a bunch of information for you all on things that the City of Homestead is doing to create a green pathway in their city, and also some of the information on what's happening with climate change that I think you all should take a look at. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Yes, sir?
Don't even turn that on until after I get through about 3 items. Richard Ennis, 13030 Northeast 10th Avenue. I only had 3, but I got 4 now because Mrs. Brown brought up trash. I am in a perfect landing pattern for the City of North Miami High School to finish their chicken bones, their Cheeto bags, their sodas as they're walking home. I am in a constant battle with these kids every day. You need to put education into the school to tell people how to teach these kids to respect the properties that their parents own and that their neighbors own and in the city that they live in, instead of dropping crap every single day. I had a child today with a group of children dropped a styrofoam container that usually holds chicken bones and stuff in front of the driveway. So my wife looked out and said, "I'm not going to respond to this. Let me see what they do." 2 minutes, well, within a couple of seconds, the girl walked onto my driveway about 20 feet from my car and threw something at the car. My wife went out and said, "What are you doing?" And they scattered like bees, okay? You need to put education in the school to teach these children respect for people's property. You need to have those people on Dixie Highway stop putting stuff in styrofoam and selling it to these kids. Don't let them buy chicken bones. It's ridiculous. That's number one. Number two, Force Main project on 131st Street. I don't know how you're going to pay them, but I'm assuming from the way that they've paved the center where they put the pipes, that they've left about an inch, and the way they've pushed back dirt and all the swales. I'm assuming that they're going to repave the entire street. Is that part of the plan?
I believe that's part of the plan.
Okay. Just do not pay them until they've also replaced the gullies in my swale and everybody else's swale where they're going to have to put back grass, because I already asked the guy, I said, who's going to put the grass back? He said, oh, we will. Well, but that's, here, and that'll happen when I see it. So do not pay them until they've totally not only repaved the street and remarked it, but put back grass on all the swales.
As part of finaling the project, all of that would be done through the
Okay.
Public Works Department.
All right.
And if
Number
it's not done by the contractor, Public Work comes out and we'll bill the contractor after the
We'll
fact.
bill them, okay,
Yes.
but I don't care who physically does it, as long as we don't pay for it.
Okay.
Okay, number three. I watched a replay of the December 9th meeting that you people had. And you just decided to throw away $252,000 a year on a justifiable charge for a base charge on a second meter. 2 years I've been asking you to take away a phantom charge of a second base charge on my single meter. Okay? Now I'm not going to be satisfied with you just taking away the base charge, because if you're taking it away on them, you've got to be taking it away on me, because I'm already paying a second charge for 1 meter. You took it away. I could justify why you should be keeping the charge on the second meter. It was in your rate structure. It came out of there. It justified why you had to change it and charge them for that. And their water is not, they're not paying sewer on that water. They're not paying, they're only paying just the water to go in the ground. They're not even paying the water coming out. Well, now I want you to come and put a second meter in my house. And one day when somebody decides to, either me or the next owner of my property, if they want to rent that duplex in the back to somebody, let them hook up to that meter. In the meantime, I don't want to pay a second base charge. I don't want to pay second sewer and sanitation charge. I am a single residence that happens to have an apartment in the back that's never been occupied except by family, and I've got 1 electric meter, I've got 1 water meter, I got 1 cable bill for the whole place. It was a maid's quarters next to my garage that somebody added a bedroom 30 years. I've been there 30 years. Somebody before me added that. So I want to get rid of all the extra charges, not just the stupid extra base charge. Now I want you to not charge me for the extra sewer and sanitation that I've been paying for. I got double dipped when you did the capital improvement fund, and I paid double for like 3 or 4 years. Every time that bill came, it was double. So you need to take away that charge and come put another meter. I don't know where you're going to hook it up, because what was a 2-inch main on where my meter was moved from the house to the street was actually my service line up to the old meter and the old pump when Mark came out before, when he was still here, and put a new and moved my meter. They discovered there was a 2-inch main that was my service line, which was absurd. Okay.
All right. You have one more point?
One more point.
Oh, okay.
Cagney Park. Mark Collins was still the director. Kevin was still the mayor. We had a meeting at Griffin Park, or Griffin Center over there, to say we're going to have some money coming up when we move Cagney Park, and we'd like some ideas of what you'd like to put there. We gave out all kinds of ideas. I wanted softball fields put back because you took them away from Ben Franklin. Everybody came up with some nice ideas. But one thing that was said and promised, Kevin promised, that no matter whatever's on the south side of Cagney now will go back to the north side, and we'll end up with the same Cagney Park, south and north combined. Well, you had a kiddie park on the south side. You're not putting that back. You want to put the pool, which was not part of Cagney Park, you want to put that on the edge of 8th Avenue or 9th Avenue because you can't have access to it during the day because it's a shared park and it's only going to be available after school closes. You want to put the pool. There was a baseball field. Now I'm hearing there's not going to be a baseball field. There was a Little League field. Now there's not going to be a Little League field. There were 4 racquetball courts. We were going to be 2. Now there's no racquetball courts. The basketball courts are on the south side. And now Andre Pierre promised. I said, are you going to be able to put that little PAL field on that maintenance section on the south side? Oh, we got $1 million. For sure we're going to put it there. Now it's going to be part of a 2-story building on the north side. You're not putting one thing back that was in the old park. Nothing. You're putting a pool which wasn't in the old park, and you're going to put 3 areas that you want to lease out to people. People don't pay anything to do that stuff. Guys used to come on the old Little League field with their soccer nets on the weekend to play soccer. They don't pay anything for that. I don't understand what you're going to do with Cagney Park. Anything that was promised there has been thrown out the window.
Okay.
Thank you.